Welcome to Impact Moments, powered by 90. Today, we're joined by Jamie Munoz. Jamie spent 4 years as full-time integrator at a company running on EOS. That's actually back when we first met, when her company was using 90. And she helped grow that team from 60 to 100 people. When that chapter ended, she started doing something that really barely had a name at the time, fractional integrator work. That led her to creating her firm Catalyst, where she matched experienced integrators with visionaries who needed them when they needed them. What makes Jamie's story really different is where she ended up. She went from the integrator seat at her initial company to now being a visionary and an integrator within her own business, and she now sits in both of those seats. In this conversation, Jamie shares what that transition taught her, why she believes things happen for you, not to you, and the termination story that she still carries with her today. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome to Impact Moments. I'm Christine.
I'm Kris.
And Jamie, thank you for joining us today. Excited to have you here.
Thank you guys for having me. This is exciting.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but we first met at the first EOS conference in Atlanta. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
And you were working with AZPro, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Blast from the past. I love it.
Yeah.
Year was 2018?
17?
17?
You have 17 into
Okay.
18?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
We go way back.
I
And
know.
90 was a different brand back then,
Fractional.
even, right? Traction.
Yes.
We had an X. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I remember I got my husband the hat that had like the little mountain logo on it.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have an OG hat.
Oh, we have one. Yes. We're waiting for the day where it'll bring a pretty penny on
Yeah.
eBay.
Yeah, that's coveted, I feel like.
He had no idea what he was getting or what he was representing. And I kind of
Yeah.
messed with him at first because he was wearing it all the time. And I was like, you know what that brand is, right?
He's like,
And he's like, wait, no, what is it? And I totally gave him a little bit of a panic moment. I was like,
Yeah.
no, it's totally trusted, totally appropriate company to represent.
It just looked like an outdoor company, though, so it just kind of looked like activewear. I feel like it fit in.
Totally. Something sold at REI for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, yeah. Well, give us a little bit of background on you, how you kind of came into the role of integrator, because I think when I met you, you were integrator there.
Yeah. So I was full-time integrator at AZPro. It's a local company here in Phoenix that does large format printing. And I was helping that company for about 4 years before we found EOS and hired our implementer. And, we were just hitting a ceiling. Like, we knew things needed to change, and we found EOS, and I was like, thank God there's an easy book that I can hand to people and prove that like
Yeah.
the things that we want to do are actually a thing. And so my visionary, he had found the book and told me to figure it out.
Yeah.
So 4 years we had our EOS implementer and we were running it. We had grown the company when we found EOS from about 60 team members up to 100, but in that time we had a lot of turnover. So we were making sure that we had all the right people in the right seats. And honestly, like 90 played a big part for us in us having this incredible software and tool where even though we were all in one location, we had people going out in the field and stuff, but we could have I remember the days when I had to write the agenda on the whiteboard every time, and it took me so long, and then manually capturing to-dos and everything. So again, just having this simple, easy system that could empower the team also to take accountability for getting things done, and the ease of us being able to roll out and share our VTO and our accountability chart and our updates and things. It was a godsend. So yeah, I was integrator there full time for those next 4 years and got us to a place where the leadership team was built out. It was running. Things were humming. My visionary was finally like, what does life look like to potentially not be in the day-to-day anymore? And I could just be the visionary. And he actually became an EOS implementer.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And I was like, well, what do I do? Do I become an implementer? Do I help other companies running on EOS? Like, am I starting over? I also owned a boutique at the same time that I kind of side hustled, and I worked with special needs dogs. So I was like, how can I work from home, have my boutique and go there a few days a week, still be the integrator for this company? About a day a week is all they needed
Mhm.
because I had replaced myself as operations. So that's really where Fractional was kind of born for me in 2018 and took me to the next step of my journey, which leads me into where I am now with Catalyst.
Yeah, and I'm so curious because I feel like now there are a lot of fractional firms, but I don't think I knew of any beforehand. Had you seen that like in practice before you started yours?
So, no, it was very much like I remember going to lunch with my implementer and I was like, am I doing something illegal? Like, are the EOS police going to come and arrest me because I'm like this charlatan, just like a day a week with a few different companies. But, I really remember again from every EOS conference, I feel like anytime Gino or Mark Winters got up and spoke, they really talked about the numbers of the lack of integrators per visionary out there. And there
Hmm.
was like this call to action almost that you couldn't ignore. That was like they would say these numbers like for every 4 or 5 visionaries out there, there's one integrator. And then you're like, oh my gosh, like there's an underserved like community here of all these entrepreneurs and
Yeah.
visionaries.
Yeah.
Then also when you really look at EOS and the integrator seat, it's not typically full time. You're usually also the head of operations. And if the company is not growing and scaling or reporting to a board or something like that, where it's like multiple locations or multi vertical, then a fractional integrator really can meet people where they're at. It can help them go and grow. So I really just feel like I fell into it on accident. One of my early mentors um, that I reached out to and found that was doing fractional work had been fractional for Mark Winters at one point. And so I kind of started getting that mentorship and learning what it truly meant to be fractional and how to uphold that and make sure that it's not just a self-promoted thing of like, oh, I just read Rocket Fuel today and I decided I'm going to be a fractional integrator today. But it's really like a progression of the journey and a next step for full-time integrators when they're ready for that next step in their career. So I feel like I got very lucky in that it wasn't really known what fractional integrators were. We used to have to really explain it to people.
Yeah.
And fast forward to today, where again, the pendulum has swung a little bit to where there's lots of people in the space and lots of options and an integrator for everyone, right? Like if you're a visionary, you can find an integrator of any size and type and background that you need to get you where you want to go.
We have about 150 in our partner program today. That doesn't mean there's
Right.
not more, but just in general, we've been watching that trend too. And it's been interesting to talk to them and go, what do you do? Right. And I think there is this interesting moment when you said the EOS police, right? Like there's this interesting moment where you've got 870 EOS implementers out there. And they too are trying to understand like what's that intersection and how do I refer you in to go do that work or do you compete with me?
Yeah.
Right? And there's some healthy tension there because we've seen that in the community at times because the EOS implementers are going to not just do the 3 session days that you do to implement it, then they're going to do quarterlies and annuals, right? But a lot of fractional integrators are also doing quarterlies and annuals.
Yep.
And that becomes this really interesting demarcation of like how does that all work together?
Yeah,
So
for
I don't know if
sure.
you've had any of that experience, like working with the EOS implementers and figuring that out. But most of the time, I think we take, because at 90, we take a very abundance minded approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's something for everyone. And so just go figure out what that is. But I think there's, a little bit of tension in the community.
Yeah, there is, right? And that can come into place, right? When you've got people maybe that are acting out of integrity or doing things that like can kind of distill a brand or distill an industry like in a way, if we kind of even see fractional integrators as like some sort of an industry. The way that I see it and experienced it was like my implementer from day 1 was telling me like, "Jamie, you're going to need to run this show." Like this is you as the integrator. When I'm not here, when you're onboarding new people, when things are happening, like you are the champion for this. Like you need to know this the back of your hand. I could call my implementer for questions and some guidance and things like that. But at the end of the day, I was there every single day making sure that EOS was running, the business was running. I had rocket fuel with my visionary. That was my responsibility. And he wanted to empower me to be able to do that. So
Yeah,
from day 1, he was encouraging me, watch how I'm facilitating. We debrief after the sessions, see how I did that, see how I led that session or those things because the goal was, and I think the goal still kind of is that you graduate from your implementer after 2 years.
that's right.
Now you see value, right? Like it's anytime I can show up and not run a meeting, for sure as the integrator, like you are like, oh, thank God. Like I don't have to be the one also leading this thing. Like it is so wonderful to participate, but in that absence or graduation or no need to have that outside coach or facilitator, it lands with you, especially in times of tough budgets or things like that. Like companies kind of shrink in and say like, okay, what resources internally do we have that we can use that can support us with
Yeah.
where we want to go and not have to rely on external facilitation. I mean, I could argue why it's a necessity, but it's also a luxury in a lot of ways. And in tough times, I feel like you have to make those decisions of like, you know, what can we do if we can't afford to bring somebody else in? And it is our integrator's responsibility, kind of how I see it.
There should be an independence moment, right? Like you now know how to do it, so go do it, right? You
Right,
don't need that person anymore to coach you through it. Now, if you need them for an annual, maybe, right? But otherwise, like just run.
right.
That's what the whole investment was, to build the muscle memory, to build the skills. Right now, you've got it, so
Yeah.
go do it.
And I think a thing like predicting, right? I'm probably going to misquote how old EOS is. Is EOS like 17 years old?
No, it's like
17, 18,
20.
20?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you even think about that, if the goal was to graduate even after 2 years, you have integrators now who have probably run multiple companies for 20 years, like at this point on EOS. So they know it. They know the nuances. They know how to teach it, to train it, to make sure that the team is running on it effectively. So I think by those very numbers, integrators with experience have been bred over the past, well, let's say even 15 years that can do this work, right? And that can support companies, multiple companies at a time, which is a cool thing that I think has happened is being a COO or being an integrator for me in the past, and even looking at where my career trajectory was going, was like, well, where do you go once you've like been successful in it? Do you start over with another company? Do you continue to grow and grow and grow and like maybe work in companies that you don't love that size or that complexity anymore? Because what is your growth ceiling? You're usually not going to become the visionary. So like you kind of top out. So what a cool way to provide more impact and ripple effect out in the world, being able to help smaller companies meet them where they're at and get an infusion of an integrator that they otherwise couldn't afford.
Well, I'm so curious to hear about your journey because you did do that where you transitioned from integrator to visionary, right?
Yeah.
As you were creating Catalyst.
I
So,
know you got to be like really crazy to want to
You're
do
like,
that.
and then I did what?
And then I did.
yeah.
Yes. This turns into a therapy couch, right?
What was that time like? Like how did you kind of discover new things about yourself and like push yourself past what you thought you could do? Like what was that time like when you were creating Catalyst?
Still the time. It's
Yeah.
every day still.
Yeah.
I would say that like having that aha moment to realize like I always identified as an integrator. But then what was interesting was I had these moments and these things happen where I look back and I'm like, oh, I've got entrepreneurial spirit. Like my dad is an entrepreneur. He works in the car business. Like he's owned his own used car dealership like my whole life. From being a kid and like having a jewelry business, when I was in college, I had a clothing line. I opened the boutique. So I always had these like safer side hustles because my integrator side comes out and I'm like not a risk taker. I'm not going to, put my house up as collateral to like build and grow some business when I'm like, that's just not me. I'm not, if there was a visionary spectrum or continuum or something that we could look at and see, like, I think there's extreme visionaries like the Gino Wickmans, the Bob Schoenfelds, the Mark Abbotts that are on this side of the spectrum that are so visionary. I think there's some of us who are there and play it a little safer or just have a different flavor into how we are visionary in a different way. So when I say that I fell into this, like I went solo fractional by myself my first couple of years. And I think what was wild to discover was my desire to help other people not feel alone, whether they're visionaries who are feeling alone because they don't have an integrator, or integrators who are feeling alone because they want community or they want to be fractional and help more people, I found this really unique spot that I fell into of being able to build Catalyst to be the catalyst for these integrators and for these visionaries. And it's wild to wake up one day and realize, holy shit, okay, I'm the visionary of this. Like, it's wild because now I'm running this business and having the vision for this business. I'm not doing client delivery. I'm not doing service delivery. I don't have clients anymore. I haven't taken clients in a few years. So it really just becomes like, what are your gifts, your unique abilities? What do you love to do? And then what are the gaps and growth and opportunity? And that's kind of where have been at for the past 5 years. Catalyst is about to turn 5 in 2026. It's amazing to watch how it's grown and taken shape and is so different than it was from inception to now, and how different I am and how the things that I've gone through have shaped me to probably be a better visionary than I for sure was when I started this, because I wasn't ever focused on being a good visionary. I was a really good and strong integrator. So I've had to learn how to be a good visionary and put myself in environments where I can learn from amazing visionaries also.
That's such a good perspective. You have to, like, change or adjust a bit of your community to make sure that you're, like, hearing from different perspectives and those voices.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It's a cool place to be that I feel like I can speak both languages now. Like, I feel
Mhm.
like I'm like this whisperer that can like toggle between the
Mm.
two. And also is right now, I'm sitting in the visionary and the integrator seat for Catalyst.
Right.
And my heart goes out to all these visionaries who are sitting in both seats. Like, what I can see and feel and put words to that it's doing for me in my life. Like, the drop from 30,000 foot to, to ground level is
It's
real.
really, yeah.
And what
Yeah.
that does to
Yeah.
your body physically, mentally, like, it's a lot. So I need an integrator. I don't
Let's
want to be the integrator anymore.
Yeah. We brought you here and asked you about an impact moment, and you've worked with so many clients. I'm sure you have so many stories, but what was the story that you chose to bring today?
I'm at this place and I'm having these ahas, which I recognize people listening or watching either have had this aha or will one day, in that you realize that everything is happening, whether it's life or business. To me, it's both, it's harmony of both, is that things are happening for you, not to you. And when I like really truly embraced and embodied that specifically this year
Mhm.
with a lot of coaching and therapy and different things, that I can see how things have happened in the growth of the business, or my growth even, that equipped me to be stronger today, to be able to get through things differently today, to be able to support somebody else going through those things today. So it's hard when you're going truly through the suck of something, you know?
Yeah.
Things like, it doesn't mean things don't just suck. Like, sometimes things just suck. That's okay. I think it's when you can really reflect and go inward on how those things impact you and how you feel about them, to not just try to move through them really fast. The big thing for me lately has been realizing that by the very nature of things like EOS that we have, where we have structure, right? Like, we know there's a vision and there's goals. And if there's an issue, we take to dos and, eventually, could it be a rock or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we have structure to things.
Yeah.
If we take like the human and emotion and energy element out of that and just power through it, we are all not really stepping into and harnessing our true energy or our true emotions that are happening. We're stifling it. We're pushing it down. We're ignoring it for the sake of the agenda. We're moving through it. We've got a timer running to make sure. There's a pause button on that timer, though,
Mhm.
to say, like, there might be a hot minute where we need to sit in the suck of something. Like, that was hard, or that hurt, or that was a difficult thing, or we could celebrate. Why aren't we celebrating more? Why aren't we talking more about like all the awesome things that did happen and pull from that? So, all that to say, I know it's not like an exact specific moment in time or story of something that happened. I mean, I could dig into all the things that have happened that are stories, but that to me has been like the big like revelation and aha moments for me this year is that it's like it's okay to bring like the human and the element of emotion and humanized with all this AI we've got going on and everything too, right? And feel those things so that way we can be better leaders through it and not take those moments away from people.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, and you're actually really good at this because I feel like I have that bias for keeping things going. We have things we need to get done, efficiency over everything, and I'm like, well, let's just skip through. Like, we need to go faster in the check, and we need to go faster, and like
Hmm.
the team all together. We can't let everybody share whatever it is. And that's the bad, like, devil on your shoulder kind of thing, but you're really good about making us slow down and saying, "No, everybody is gonna go around, like, and it is gonna take a little bit longer than we want," but does ultimately make people feel more connected and more willing to, like, share and, like, let people, as you would say, step into the danger a little bit more.
Yeah, and thank you, but I'm still working on it, right? But one of the things I try to remind myself is that we coach the person, not the problem. And if you're coaching the person, then you have to let them enter into the problem. Right, versus
Yeah.
sometimes I get excited, I'm like, "Oh, I see the problem.
Right.
No, 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 we can get
Yeah.
after this, like, let's just go right there." And they're like, "No, they're not there yet." And I don't really know what the problem is. There's early indicators, so I'm just gonna keep coaching the person, and we had this happen yesterday even,
Yeah.
where all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, that's not the problem I thought it was."
Mhm.
Like, they didn't know themselves until we coached a little bit further, and then they tell us what the core issue is, you're like, "Oh, that's it. Now we got it. Now we can talk about it."
Mhm.
Right? Because before we didn't really know, but now we know.
Yeah.
I'm writing a book right now called Meetings Kind of Suck because it just do. Right? Like, in most of the time, people don't look forward to meetings. But if you think about like most of what EOS and 90 we do is we run better meetings.
Mhm.
But they kind of suck. And we just, to your point of like, you just got to enter into that place and go, yeah, it's hard. I get it. That was an 8. That wasn't a 10. Now, how do we do better tomorrow? Right? Like that's one of the things I love about Christine's heard me say this. I love rating every meeting now because that's how I know, right? Like we sat down, we're having a moment, we're having an expectation. At the end, we're gonna be like, let's rate this 1 to
It's too
10, let's
much.
go. And so I did 6 years of marital counseling. I love my wife. And I started rating the meetings, and the counselor did not find that fun. I'm
Oh
like, "This
no.
was a 7." I'm like, "We need to do better, team."
Kind of adapt that like, okay, if I didn't get value, then I don't have to pay you for this
Yeah,
meeting,
Yeah,
she
right? Is
didn't.
that
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, she did not buy into that either. I was like, we need more
Oh.
progress.
So what really changed for you, like, kind of getting to this point and, like, making a more intentional effort towards this mindset? Were there, like, significant changes with, like, you in the business and how you work with people? Like, what did you see happen?
Yeah, I love that question. Again, it kind of comes from that reflection, right? Like something happens or you have some aha moments or something kind of triggers you. And what I was feeling and sensing and seeing from my team at the time, this was about I'll say about 3 years ago now, is that I don't I mean, you could use the term burnout. It becomes like when your personal and professional life are like in disharmony, right? And there's also like a disharmony within you of understanding where your energy comes from, how you recharge,
Mhm.
how you are handling things emotionally and making sure that you can create that resiliency, that mental toughness for yourself, not only in work, but like as a person, like as a
Yeah.
human. Like that's super important. I was seeing that that was in very much conflict with people on my team. I was starting to experience it myself. It kind of was becoming something that like I could not ignore any longer. Like it was a feeling that I had, it was something that I was hearing and I was seeing, and within a span of about 6 months, I had several people on my team leave. They were like burning out, all of these things were happening, and I was just like, "Oh my god, like what can I do? How can I support, what my team needs?" Sometimes you look at it like your visionary is way more heads up, heads out, even maybe your VP of sales, right? They're way more out in the world. They're going to networking things, they're going to conferences, they're going to their mastermind groups or whatever, right? And where visionaries, I think, have the hardest time is they learn these tools or hear from this speaker, read this book or whatever. They get so excited about their
Yeah.
experience with it and they bring it back and it falls short because they don't know how to bring it back and integrate it in or roll it in that is a need for their team. If they've identified it's something their team needs, their team sees it as another thing we got to do, or, oh my gosh, we already have this big workload. Now you want us to focus on this other thing. Like it just becomes noise. And I think then visionaries get frustrated and don't bring it back, right? They just get to where they're like, okay, well, we'll keep them running and doing the things they're doing in the business, and that's fine. Like, I'll bring back what I can. The way that I saw it was like, how can I bridge that gap of going out in these environments with visionaries, hearing what they need and what they have going on, bringing these tools, resources, speakers, concepts back to my team in a digestible way so that they can consume it
Mm-hmm.
and it can help them live better lives and find this harmony in their life. Because, I mean, ultimately, if they're happy, their families are happy, their clients are happy, I'm happy that they're happy, like it's just a whole like love fest. And that's great. So I'm like, how can I help curate that for my team? And so that's where I started really finding ways to bring those things in. I did a theme for the year one year that was called Nourish to Flourish. And the whole theme for the year was like, how are we nourishing ourselves to flourish in our lives? And I brought in a couple different speakers I had met through, I'm part of the Visionary Forum.
Mm-hmm.
And I had gone to some visionary summits, and I remember Mark spoke one year there, which was
Nice.
phenomenal. How can I bring back this stuff and roll it in? I mean, most of the people on my team are not outwardly going and doing that for themselves, right? They're focused on client work. So how can I help lead the charge for them in that and bring those resources into them in a digestible, easy to understand manner? So I've created some of my own tools. I brought in other tools and other thought leadership around how to live your life in harmony and have self-care that's not just facials and massages,
Yeah.
um, but also things like positive intelligence. That was a huge one. I had done that with my coach and brought positive intelligence into the team, and now everyone that onboards with us goes through mental toughness training.
Mm.
And yeah, that's kind of been the big thing for us. I don't know. What do you guys do?
We use a lot of different tools, I feel
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
internally. And we talk a lot about like the who you are and how that matches up with like what you're doing right now. And I even remember at one point we did an exercise, and maybe this was a few years ago now, where we went around the table and we were talking about, it was an annual, and so we were talking about the big company vision. And we were all sharing like what our own vision was for ourselves personally, and like does our own personal vision fit inside, and the company vision needs to be big enough that it can support all of
All
our
the
own,
leaders. Yeah.
yeah, all of our own individual ones. And so I think like exercises like that, and then just like getting a deeper understanding into like who we are and how we work together, is a lot of what we lean into.
And personally, I'm a big fan of Phil Stutz. I don't know if you
Oh
know
no,
his
I don't
work at
know who
all.
that is. No.
Yeah, so there was a Netflix series probably 2, 3 years ago, and he's got 5 books. But what I love about Phil's work, and he's a behavioral psychologist, is he starts with a very simple scenario that says that you have a life force to your resiliency. And your life force has 3 things in it at any one point in time. The first one is your relationship with your body and how you feel about it, right? Like, so do you move your body? Like, it's not like you have to be a triathlete, but it's like move your body, like figure that out. Then have a relationship with those that you love, and then have a relationship with yourself. And if you do those 3 things, then you can think about your life force. And so part of like for me, the work I do when I journal in the mornings is I think about my life force and how that's coming together, because I think it goes to your resiliency moment, right? Like cuz
Yeah.
it's hard. The work that we do as entrepreneurs and leaders, and it takes a lot of energy. And then sometimes I wake up and I don't feel resilient. Like I'm
Yeah.
tired, right? Like it happens. But then I go through my life force. I'm like, okay, so I do need to go for a hike. I do need to go have some time to like understand how my body's feeling today, right? And I need to go call my mom, because
Yeah.
that's the relationship with the people that I love that I probably didn't make time for that I need to.
And you realize these are free things, right? This
Yeah.
100%.
doesn't cost you any money. This
Not at
isn't like
all.
for the elite people to like only have. It's like what that's doing for your mind and your spirit and your soul and your body when you like feel into those activities is so regenerative. Did I say that word?
You-
Regenerative?
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah. It regenerates you.
It
Yeah.
regenerates you. Yeah, it works.
I knew it was, I don't want to say bad, good or bad. I knew it was something. When my doctor, I went and saw her and she prescribed to me that every morning I need to go outside, be in the first morning sun, and put my feet in the grass and ground. It's like
Ground
these
yourself.
simple things of, that cost you no money. I mean, yes, your time's money and it costs you that, but um, just realizing that, like, the slowing down. And again, that's why I think like a tool, we'll go back to tools. We'll go back to like what are the things that you have, and you touched on it where you're like, well, I see the value and I want the meeting to run right. And if we want that too, right? Like it's
Right.
all of these things together. But having a tool that like my brain puts no thought or stress or energy into where my VTO lives, if it's currently updated, if the team can see it, what my to-dos are. Like I can put so much more of my intentional energy and unique ability into other stuff because I don't worry. Like
It's just there. Yeah.
it's a tool that allows me to not have worry about those things. Is wonderful.
Yeah, it's all organized, and I feel like earlier you talked about, like, the distributed accountability, which I feel like is a huge thing because a lot of times, like, the integrator is just, like, doing everything themselves and then keeping the to-do list and then reminding everybody what to go do, and, like, when you have something like 90 where it's, like, everybody can, like, see and access and do what they need to do, like, it does take a lot of that stress off of the integrator, the person that's trying to do it,
Exactly.
so
Because God forbid you're sick or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody can roll in and pop that open. And people that feel less confident about running a meeting, like the agenda is there for you. It's so clickable and easy and intuitive. Um, I am not a software technology like person at all. So for me, I'm like, I can use it. Like it's easy for me. Like I can use this. This is simple and easy. And also like the human element too, where like anytime I need help or support or have a question, I can chat, and I'm talking to a human. And if I don't respond, I know I'm going to get an email that's like, okay, so, but did you get the help you needed, Jamie? Like,
Yeah.
did you solve that thing you needed help with? And I'm like, oh, yes, okay, thank you. Like, you
Yeah.
followed up with me. That's great.
Yeah.
So you get the support that you're looking for too. And also being virtual. So, like, when I was at AZPro, we were all in one location, we were all in person. And yes, like pulling that tool up so much easier than writing on the whiteboard. But anytime, like you went virtual, like now I'm 100% virtual, we can easily run that with all of our clients, like, and all of our teams. It's so simple and so easy. So whether you're full time or in person, like, it's just such a benefit. When people are like, oh, I'm using a Google Sheet, I'm like, oh,
You're like,
God, okay,
why would
well,
you do that?
I don't want to like make anyone feel bad or like judge them or anything, but I'm like, it pays for itself. Like having the software and taking on that investment, it pays for itself, like hands down. You guys know this.
Yeah.
Well, I have one more question about you, and I want to hear about your biggest fuck up. What happened? What was the situation
Between two ferns.
between two
Between two
friends? I
friends.
should have said it more deadpan.
You were so close.
I can't do it.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. My biggest fuck up. Oh my God, like ever, most recently?
oh, yeah, you can use
Shoot, like how
recency
do you pick
bias.
one? I guess it's like always my first draft of this answer is like, well, we all mess up all the time and every day, right? And we have these big things that happen, but like we reflect on them, we learn from them, we put new things in place, right? It's like,
Right.
as long as you're learning from it, it doesn't feel like, as long as you're learning from it, it doesn't feel like this massive thing because you used it to grow. But that doesn't directly answer your question. Biggest fuck up. Oh my gosh.
One of mine that always comes to mind when I think about this sort of thing is, like, I know everybody has that feeling where it's, like, in the pit of their stomach and, like, they're sweating and whatever, and I was working at this company, and I was the only person in marketing, and I was updating something, and I completely took down the whole website, but the problem was the website wasn't just like, "Oh, people click here." It's, like, a small business loans company, and so people, like, can't get their loans, and they can't apply for things, and so everything is shut down. And so then I just, like, stayed there sitting at my desk like this for hours into the night because I'm like, "I can't fix it, but, like, I have to be here and I have to stare at this screen."
Oh my
And that
God.
taught me a lot of things about going slower, and I still go too fast sometimes, but I have not taken down a website since.
Yeah, see?
So
Thank God.
Yeah, that we know of.
Yeah.
that you know of. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not due to happen again, like, that's like a one and done situation, and you're through it.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
that's great.
lots of good lessons.
Alright, well, what's yours?
I would say it was a personnel issue where we decided to hire a leader that I didn't believe we should hire, but we were in a seat of pain. And so it's that moment where nobody in the seat was not working. So you were going with somebody, and we had done an exhaustive search. So we did the hire. And then within a couple months, we're like, this totally just bad. It's a bad hire, right? And so I then I had to go get our CFO involved too. And I'm like, I think this is a bad hire. He's like, I think so too. And then when we got our chief product technology officer involved, I'm like, what do you think? He's like, yeah. So then we had to go to the CEO who was exhausted by like all we did. And we let the guy go. And he'd only been there for 2 months. And he's not a bad human. It was just the wrong hire. Right. And I look back on that and I could have done it better. Like we should have just said no. Like we know it's not right.
You ignored your gut because
Yeah,
it
because
sounded
you're
like you
oh,
your
no.
gut was telling
Oh,
you
yeah, and
already
we
and
had
you ignored
interviewed
it.
so many people,
Mhm.
and we were exhausted, and we were just ready to move, and, like, the founder, Mark, and I went for a walk, and we're talking about it, and I'm like, "We'll make this work." And then you're like, "Oh, we can't make this work at all." There was
Oh
such a
my
moment, so
gosh.
I'll go back to when I was full-time integrator. Um, I think as leaders, sometimes we don't want our people to feel the pain, right? Like, we wanna absorb, we wanna protect, we want to make sure that they don't, have the bad experiences or have the things, right? So we wanna take that away from them sometimes, and I feel like, those are the moments a lot of times that, again, shape us, right? Like, you sitting in that suck of what happened to you with that thing, right? Like, you're like, "I remember that forever, I will never let that will never happen again." No one swooped in to, like, take it away from you or, like, save you from that, like, you were kind of allowed to feel that way for yourself.
Right.
I had a leader who wanted to terminate someone, and I kind of trusted. I didn't really do enough of my own due diligence. He had come to me and said, like, "I'm ready to exit this team member, like, all these things are wrong," and I had been hearing about it for a while, so in my brain, I'm like, "There's been coaching, there's been
mhm.
all these things," right? So, he came to me and he's like, "It's been hard though, like, things are going on in his personal life, like, I'm having a hard time, like, I don't can you come in and support me? Can you come in with me to the meeting and kinda help do the delivery?" He's like, It's not on my heart right now, like, I just can't do it." I'm like, "Okay." I went in kinda blindly trusting, I'm like, I'm sure he's done his due diligence, so I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna protect, right? Like, I'm gonna make sure that, like, this is easy for him. We start delivering the termination, and the employee looks like a deer in headlights. They're like, What?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, yeah, because this and this and this." And he's like, "Excuse me? Like, what's going on?" And I'm like, looking at my leader, my director, and I'm like, "What? Well, but you." And it was the most fucking awkward, awful, like, talk about just painful for everyone in that room. Cause then I'm like, well, fuck, okay, I didn't do my due diligence to, like, really double check or look at anything. I trusted him, which I'm not saying was a bad thing, but I'm like, I should have probably made sure ducks were in a row. He's looking at me like, oh, yeah, I actually never did any of that stuff. And,
Oh,
and I'm like, oh, shit. Okay. So we're in this moment where I'm like, we can't be like, okay, never mind, you can stay.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It's fine. But like leaning into it and really having to have that conversation of like not throwing my leader under the bus in front of it and like, what the hell, man? But like, okay, how do you navigate through that? So big learning lessons there, lots of coaching there, lots of things where I'm like, I never in a million years want anyone to feel caught off guard if they're getting terminated.
Right.
That meeting should have been so smooth in terms of him being like, "Yep, didn't fix the yep, you're right, didn't do the things. Yep, not gonna fix it. Like, you're right. Like, this is better for all of us." or they self-deselect and find their own job elsewhere because they've been getting coached. So anyways, all that to say, the way that felt in that meeting, that I couldn't believe that that team member felt so blindsided.
Right.
I just felt awful, and I never want anyone to feel that way.
Well, and I think that's why the 3-strike rule works, right? If you do it, because they get it. It's like, okay, that's the first strike. We don't want a second one,
Yeah.
but let's coach, let's work together. It's number 2. And now the third one's the last day. And so if you've had the other 2 strikes, then they can say, I'm not surprised because you already had 2, and today's my last day because clearly I can't figure this out. But there's so few companies that I have coached that actually really do it throughout. They're always like, we're going to put them on a PIP. I'm like, and what's that going to do?
Mm.
And what's the consequence to them not changing the behavior? And do they know it's a strike? Because if they don't know, what are they going to do differently, right? Like they're just going to keep trying.
Well, and it's so good for you to have that learning too, because yes, one bad scenario for one person, but I feel like taking care of somebody out the door, like you talked about, like, and you probably being able to do that well after that point is
Yeah.
really nice for people,
Yeah.
right?
Because
Yeah.
people remember how they leave, right? Like they
Yeah.
very rarely remember how they came in or how they started. They remember how they leave.
Yeah.
So I think that that's important too, to even if it's not going to work out, like you said earlier, this person is awesome. Like you could be a great
Yeah,
person.
good
That's
human.
awesome. You can be excellent somewhere else though. Like that's okay. And that's the hardest thing too, especially if the other person really likes and wants to be there, like
Yeah.
it's hard. It
Yeah.
doesn't make it any easier, but
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
This was so fun. I was looking forward to the conversation. So appreciate watching your journey. And thank you, everybody, for joining Impact Moments. Go win the week.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Jamie as much as I did. Jamie said something that really stuck with me. People remember how they leave, not how they start. And that's true for team members, for clients, probably for the conversations that we have every single day. The other thing I kept coming back to was her point about the structure and emotion. EOS gives us a framework, the agenda, the timer. But sometimes the most important thing you can do is hit pause and let people sit in the moment, whether it's hard or we're celebrating. And I think people that bring the real EOS experience to the room, the fractional integrators, the implementers, know how to do that well for your business, which is why people rely on that expertise so much. So I really liked hearing her talk about that. At 90, we built the tools to take the busy work off your plate so you can spend the time and energy on the things that actually matter, your team, your vision, your life. And I liked how she really hit on that and those aspects of her life and being present really matter to her. Thanks for listening. If this episode resonated, please hit like, subscribe, share it with a leader that could use the reminder, and we'll see you next time.